Welcome to The Bank is Open, presented by Pickett Sports, presented by Props.Cash. Gold Boys breaking down what is a fun NBA slate. Good games, fun games. So we'll break it all down. We only got 5 or so of them, but they are some good matchups. Joining us, as usual, NicLarson, Matt Mcafee. Boys, what's going on?
What up, Will?
Going on? I mean, we have the stars have aligned tonight. We have the Bucks, Kings, and Jazz all playing tonight.
Yeah, these are fun games. I mean, you could talk yourself into, hey, Bucks Warriors is a finals preview. Two of maybe the best players in the league in Giannis and Curry. Kings Sixers is fun. The Lakers and Celtics is always good. Lakers playing a little better. Suns
Lakers,
struggling there in
Celtics
action.
finals preview, maybe. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, hey, the way Davis is playing. Let's just get right into it. Actually, before we get into it, anything the last week or so you guys have bet in terms of the NBA awards, futures? I got to catch up here. I guess they changed the name of some of these awards. And I don't know, maybe you guys are more briefed on it. Maybe it's more stuff to bet on because I think they added an award. But anything you guys have bet on recently in the last week or so in terms of futures or awards before we get to the games, Nick, you can start if you have anything.
Yeah, I really haven't since we last talked here. I haven't done anything as far as awards, but I did see something. I didn't really look into it, but something changing it to some Michael Jordan award. I didn't even read the article, but I did see something like that as well.
Yeah, they gave like the awards, they're named after a player, or the trophies named after the player. Yeah, I haven't added anything. I know, the hot ticket right now is the Zion MVP ticket. That was the talking point this week. A few of us talked about that in the preseason kind of build up. His price is still pretty good, but it's hard for me to see.
What are you looking at right now? Sorry to jump in. What are you looking at?
Let's pull that up. That's great.
Because I gave it out 80 to 1. I had a free bet. I gave it out Friday night. He had a monster game. I was like, hey, just because he's going to move, I'm going to take it 80 to 1. And I think, 50 to 1, like 15 minutes later.
Yeah, I think it's all still playable. You're getting a long shot 50 to 1 or longer. I think preseason he was in the 60 to 1 range. But you can see how these ebbs and flows are. It's going to be very difficult to get ahead of Giannis and Luka in this market, just because.
And Tatum too.
And Tatum too. Yeah, you got kind of 3 guys, and of course Embiid. If he's healthy and he's there towards the end of the season, his numbers are just going to be ridiculous too. It's hard for me to see Zion breaking it, but yeah, you never know. I mean, these are speculative, and maybe you get it a nice cash out offer. If he works himself into the top, 4 or 5 candidates, they may.
It's possible they go on a run too. Like they're hot now.
Right.
If they for some reason won the West or something, it might bump his chances as well.
Yeah, it's like anything. You got to get these before the move. So it's like Davis. Like I know Davis was like 250 to 1 to win the MVP. And then he goes on this crazy one. He's down to 31. Like if you're betting him at 30 to 1, you're doing it wrong. You got to get these guys before the move. That's sort of the name of the game. So 50 to 1, I guess that's probably the last price I'd even throw a little dart at it. I thought 80 to 1. Okay, worth a shot. Once you start down at 40 to 1, 50 to 1, probably a little less enticing, but like you guys said, the Pelicans have played well. They beat the Suns a couple times over the weekend. Right. So they're playing well. They're in action tonight. And let's just get started with the games. And what is an interesting game, the Kings on this East Coast swing, they lost to the Knicks the other day. It kind of got, I think it was the same day as the NFL, so it kind of got blended in with the football, but they had a nice win against the Cavs over the weekend, hung tight with the Bucks a couple days before that, but they're in Philly. Philly is laying, now it's 4 at FanDuel. This was 5, so the Kings have taken some money here. Nick, you want to start us off, Kings and Sixers?
Yeah, this is the first leg of my contractually obligated parlay, which is going to be the Kings, Bucks, and Jazz money line here. But yeah, this should be a fun matchup to watch. I was hoping Melton would play, but he got ruled out. I really liked his 3-pointer props for tonight. But like we said before the show started, it should probably free up some other looks for some other guys, whether it's Harden, Niang off the bench maybe. For some 3-pointers, maybe even Tobias Harris. But I don't know. I do kind of like the Kings in this game. Fox is playing. The Sixers have won their last 2, but they beat the Lakers and Charlotte. And before that, they lost to the Cavs, Grizzlies, and Houston. So, I mean, it's still what Sixer team are you going to get each night? Embiid's been killing it points-wise. I don't know how he's going to match up I don't know how he's done historically against Sabonis, but
I pulled that up. It's funny you say that. I'll jump in there. Like a lot of those games against the Pacers, he did have a 40-point game in there, a couple 30-point games, but he averages 26.2 and 11.8 boards. But you got to also remember they threw Miles Turner at him a lot too back then. So I think you would think on paper, like, he's probably got a good 30 or 40 pounds on Sabonis, so he should be able to punish him down low. I think Embiid's a great look today. I think he could probably get your 30, 35. I mean, if he gets 15 free throws, he might hit 40 points tonight. So yeah, like you said, with Melton out, we talked about that earlier in the day. We loved his spot. Kings don't defend the perimeter well. When I saw that his back was bothering him, I pivoted over to James Harden threes. I feel like he's been hot from behind the arc the last week, so you can get 3 around even money. I think that's a good look, potential spot there. Those threes got to be taken by somebody, and like you said, it could be Harris. It might be Niang or somebody like that. Get some more burn off the bench here, but yeah, it's a good one. Underrated game.
Will you grab the 4, Nick?
Where the Kings just try to, I mean, the Kings play at a pace. They're just up and down, whereas Philly's a little more deliberate. Do you think they just try to run up and down every chance they get and try to wear Embiid out?
I would think so.
Yeah, the pace. I mean, Fox is back, so that helps their pace a lot.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Harden and Embiid both out there. You want to try to hit those guys as gas tanks.
Right.
And without Maxi's the guy that pushes the pace for the Sixers.
Yep.
You might have a contrast in styles. Like, I was on the Cavs earlier this week, or I guess it's Tuesday, so I guess it was over the
Friday night. Maybe they played.
Yeah, Friday night. But Cavs are one of the slower teams. Always want to play in the half court, and the Kings they started fast. They had the Cavs running. Cavs second half slowed it way down, but the Cavs, in doing all that work defensively, ran out of gas towards the end. And we've talked about the Kings every time it seems like they're always playing when we're doing one of these shows. They're fun. Like, they're playing loose. They play with nothing to lose. This is not a game where you would typically get up for as a favorite. This is definitely a look ahead kind of spot. So you might see the Sixers fall flat here. And that wouldn't surprise me at all if the Kings jump out to a nice lead and you could maybe grab the Sixers live at maybe a money line around even money.
Right.
Don't hold me to it, but I think that game script kind of makes sense.
Yeah, every time it gets to 5, it gets bumped back down to 4.5. Gets to 4, it goes to 4.5. So it's sort of ping-ponged in between. At least looking at the FanDuel line, I'm looking at a 4.5 now. Before we move on, any official bets for you guys on this game?
James Harden over 2.5 3-point makes is official for me. Gave that out earlier. I got it at even money. I'm not sure. I put it in before the Melton news. I think it's trickling a little bit into like minus 105, minus 110 kind of range. I think it's definitely playable still. I have no problem playing it at minus 110.
Plus 100 on FanDuel.
Plus 100. Yep. So I got that at the same price. I see a couple books have moved it a little bit into minus money. So, yep, that's the same exact price I played it at as even money.
Nick, anything? You grabbing the points, or you're taking a stab on the money line, or is this just going to be more fun to watch?
I mean, I have the Kings in my my parlay, but other than that, it'll be a fun game to watch.
Tempted to take the points. I missed the 5s at 4.5. I know it's only a half point, but at 5, I'd be tempted to take the Kings. And I think it even opened 5.5 this morning. I was looking at the lines last night. It's 5.5. 4.5, obviously it's a little bit of a difference. I would lean towards the Kings, though. Should be a fun game. Probably, maybe is a Kings over parlay. Is it correlated? You figure the Kings are going to try to run them out. And if it's an up-tempo game, that favors them. That's not something I hate. It'll definitely be a fun game to watch. Like I said, we got a bunch of fun ones to watch. Yeah. That one's a 7:10 Eastern start.
If I could bet Sabonis to foul out, if you can find me a line on that, like I feel like that's a good thing because Embiid's going to be on the ground all night trying to get those calls, and Sabonis never gets any breaks. That dude has more scratches on his arms than anybody in the league. And yeah, they give him a quick whistle usually. So I'm thinking I think I would say Embiid. Yeah, his PPDs and stuff like that are in play. I think are good looks too.
Another fun one. The Bucks are hosting the Warriors. Could easily be a finals preview in June. Wouldn't shock anybody. Wouldn't shock me. Bucks laying 3, total 232. Nick, you can start again. This is your squad. Milwaukee here. What do you like here? The Bucks and the Warriors. Warriors, big statement win Saturday night against the Celtics.
Yeah, I like the Bucks here until about 15 minutes ago when I found out Drew Holiday wasn't playing. So the thing that scares me to death now is Curry, because you have, I don't know if they start Carter now
Oh yeah, I would
and
think
put,
so, right?
put Carter on him, because then you also have who is Grayson Allen guarding. I guess you put Middleton on Klay Thompson.
George Hill probably gets more minutes than normal.
George Hill get more minutes off the bench for sure. I do like Giannis's rebounds in this game. I have him laddered 12, 14, 16. He's coming off an 18 rebound game. He seems to rise to the occasion for some reason when they play the Warriors. He likes playing Curry. He likes playing LeBron. Just to kind of as a measuring stick for him. But as far as the game, I'm staying away from sides in this one. Except for obviously in the parlay, we have the Bucks money line in the contractually obligated one, but total staying away. I really wanted Holiday in this because he's been playing so well lately. I was going to take his 3-pointers, but it's just a weird matchup. Middleton's been in and out. I don't know how healthy he is. Wiggins is out, but I do trust Giannis's rebounds. This could also be very easily a Giannis 40-point game, Curry 40-point game. So if you want something crazy, maybe look at that.
Yeah, I think that's a fun look. I think there's going to be a ton of points in this game for sure. Without, that's both, I would say, the two best perimeter defenders on both teams. Like, if you take perimeter defenders, you combine both rosters. The two best might be Wiggins and Holiday, and they're both out of this game. So to me, that says it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some size advantage, obviously, on the Milwaukee side, like with Lopez protecting the rim and Giannis and Bobby Portis. They got a lot of length. I think I could trouble the Warriors because I think that Looney and Draymond. I like that look. I think Giannis has a big game. I really do.
It's always been a terrible matchup for the Warriors. Giannis has, because they have no one.
Yeah,
with that body type. Looney's too slow. Draymond's too small.
Yeah,
they just don't have a good matchup for him.
You're right, and I think for the guards though, that might be the advantage for Golden State.
Right.
So the mid range and the threes for Golden State, I think will be a form of attack, and I think Milwaukee will try to get as much in the paint as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's why I think Klay Thompson, that he's kind of the master mid-range guy on this Warriors team, and that's where the Bucks have been softest. I don't like that his points are kind of getting away from us. Like, his line, I loved it when it was in the, 15 and a half, 16 and a half, even 17 kind of range. Now we're all the way out to like 21 and a half, and obviously that's Wiggins being out, but it's a sweet spot for them to attack. I think both guys will have good games. I think Poole, I wanted to kind of look at his stuff, but I feel like his three has been inconsistent this year. He's been scoring a lot at the rim, and I think that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough sledding for him to get those layups close to the basket. So for me on the Warriors side, give me Curry, give me Thompson, and then I like Giannis a lot. So I could be talked into playing that like 30-30, 35-35, maybe 40-40. I think that's a viable play tonight.
Anything on the side for either of you guys?
I think with Holiday out, I think it's worth taking a stab on the Warriors money line here. don't mess with the 3. I would just take them straight money line here. I very few of these games get down to such a tight number. I know it seems like we talk about this, but like with free throws and things like that, like Giannis has been struggling from the line, so I feel pretty comfortable just taking a pop on the Warriors money line here.
The 40-40 plays plus 3,500 or something like that.
Wow. So plus 3,500. So what's that? Giannis to get 40 plus, Curry to get 40 plus is plus 3,500. Not hey, if you want to throw a few bucks, just sit there and watch and root for points. That's a fun one to root. Plus 3,575. And what book is that? That's at FanDuel. Not terrible. There's worse ways to spend a Tuesday.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, 232 on the total. Yeah, I think it's good. Like both the Warriors lack that defensive guy who could slow him down. Giannis 40 right now is tough because he's inconsistent. He's struggling really bad from the free throw line. So like, he's usually when he gets his 40-point games, that's when he shoots like 12 free throws.
Right.
And so I mean, maybe we get a good Giannis night from the line and he can get it. But Curry, I mean, any night, you can get it. So and without Holiday to check him out there, it's maybe they try to double team Curry tonight. I don't know. Like Bud's not usually one to double, but you never know. Sometimes these games they surprise you. So it might be a good, if you don't want to jump in pre-flop, wait to see how the first 6 minutes of the game are going, and maybe you'll learn something and be able to make an in play.
It could very well be a Brook Lopez 3-point game too if they're just going to collapse on Giannis.
Yeah, I could see that. Looney, he could play the high post and he's okay. Like he's not a terrible defender out there on the 3, but Lopez can shoot it. So maybe you pull Looney out of there and just clear the lane for Giannis, and he just goes at Draymond all night, which. There's another guy to play his foul out tonight. Draymond's probably fouling out tonight.
Foul out or ejection? What happens quicker?
Yeah, technical foul. I'd like to bet one right now, please.
Right.
The bank is open, presented by Pickett Sports, Props.cash, both essential tools to help you win betting. So, of course, check out Props.cash. Pickett Sports are proud sponsors. Moving on here, the Suns have lost 4 in a row, lost a couple games to the Pelicans, the Celtics. Beat them by about 100 points. They had another loss in there. They have played terribly here, usually just a machine in the regular season. They look to bounce back. They are now giving 7 on the road against Houston. Matt, start us off here. Suns, Rockets, side, prop, total, whatever way you want to go.
So my angle, and it's an official for me, is Jabari Smith over 13.5 points. We've talked about him before. Inconsistent, rookie, but he's a 4, and right now the Suns are getting absolutely killed by the 4. Zion, 35 and 35 this week. Like the other 4, Larry Nance, 17 and 15. Grant Williams, not known as a prolific scorer, 14 points on him this week. And then Christian Wood, who inconsistent, probably the most inconsistent player in the league, he had 18 points. Jabari Smith himself, earlier this month, had 17 points against the Suns. So I think the 4 is a real weak spot in this Suns team. I don't know if they're playing Saric right now. It looks like they're going to be. But, Torrey Craig sometimes can play it, but he's way undersized to play that role. Jay Crowder, still not in the fold. He's going to be traded. I'm seeing Cam Johnson he's not been officially ruled out of this game, which that might change things a little bit. But Mikal Bridges has to move up and play the 2. Like it just really messes up the Suns' rotations and depth without Booker in there. And so Jabari Smith, nice low point total. I kind of like, and I don't want to take all the talking points, so I don't want to get too bad. I have a very heavy lean on Jalen Green as well. I think him going at Chris Paul is. It would be a very, very profitable angle to play. I think he could have a really nice night scoring as well. DeAndre Ayton, I risk of sound. I'm covering for Brian tonight, so I gotta throw DeAndre Ayton in here. His points have gotten away from you too. It's not in that sweet spot of like 15 and a half or 16 and a half. It's now like 20 and a half, 21. Like it's probably too high because even when he's dominating his matchup, they just won't go to him. So it's plausible to me that he clears his points. I will say that, but yeah, no, to me, Jabari is the smash spot in this one.
I'm glad you brought up Jabari because I was looking at his 3-pointers as well.
Yep, that's a good look.
For 3 threes is plus 220, 4 threes plus 650. He can hit them. And he'll do. And also, I liked his points. Also, I mean, do you think a sprinkle on 20 points plus 550?
Yep, I do. I kind of mentioned it in my thing. Like I think it's a ladder spot. Like on a smaller night where there's no football, you may have a couple extra units for basketball tonight. I think his threes and a ladder up to 20 is very, very plausible. If Bridges is going to guard Porter or guard Jalen Green and Torrey Craig, he's a decent defender. I just feel like Saric is the weak spot here, and so they're going to run a lot of offense through Jabari Smith, and athletically he can't stay with him. So 20 points makes sense to me. I think that's a decent little price for a ladder tonight.
Right, I like that as well. I didn't have much else on this game just because I like the other games so much that I kind of stayed away from this one. Jabari was my only look as well.
Chris Paul assists is always a good look too. I mean, it's funny, like the revenge angles. It's like Chris Paul has a revenge game against half the league, but
yeah, exactly.
He's this is a decent spot for that because Houston's they don't really have a good, strong interior defender, and so he should have a lot of easy assists to Ayton tonight if he's so inclined. But without having some of those knockdown shooters, missing Booker, not having a Jay Crowder, not having a Cam Johnson. But if Cam Johnson's in, and I thought that was surprising to see him as a game time decision. I thought he was going to be out till like Christmas. But yeah, that would be helpful for Chris Paul assists tonight if that's a play that you want to get down on.
You guys worried big picture about the Suns? This little skid. Do you think it's indicative of some sort of flaw?
Yeah, I've been out on the Suns. I thought they were lucky to get to the finals against the Bucks. The seas parted for them. A lot of injuries.
True.
They're a good team. Like they're a really good team actually, but I think they have a really limited ceiling. Chris Paul, he can't play at the high level in the postseason anymore. Like teams will just isolate him. And then DeAndre Ayton, I mean, we've seen him just totally disappear when the time comes. So like, Devin Booker he's a great player. I like Mikal Bridges a lot too, but like outside of that, like, and especially they just don't have enough 3-and-D guys. Like, and the West is loaded with them. They're in trouble. They won't ever beat the Warriors. They won't beat the Warriors. They wouldn't beat the Mavs. They wouldn't beat.
Probably wouldn't even beat the Pelicans.
Yeah, Pelicans. I don't think they could beat the Pelicans. It's tough for me, like to see them advancing beyond maybe one series. Especially they're going to get probably a tough matchup. They're not going to get to face the 8 seed or whatever team comes out of the playoff. They're going to have to battle it out against another good team. And if they run into like the Clippers or the Nuggets or the Mavs in the first round, I think they're done. Like, so I would be a seller on the Suns for sure.
Moving on, a fun game. This is one I like. I'll probably add this one. The Pelicans in Utah. I know the Jazz have been a great story, but so have the Pelicans. Pelicans are laying 1.5. Total 232.5 to me. Hey, I know it's in Utah, but the Pelicans are significantly better. I'm just not going to overthink this one. I'm probably going to end up betting New Orleans minus the 126. Nick, this is your Jazz I'm going against, so you can Berate me if you'd like. What are your thoughts here, Pelicans and the Jazz?
I mean, I have them in the show parlay, but I'm with you as well. I mean, the Pelicans are probably the hottest team in the league right now, and the Jazz kind of coming down to earth, I guess you could say. They're gonna eventually blow it up. It's just a matter of when. I don't know if they're waiting for other playoff teams to kind of maximize some of the pieces that they could potentially move, but it was a fun story, but it's not going to be a contending team going forward. I don't think that was the plan either. Their plan was to get pieces they could sell, accumulate draft picks, and get Wembanyama if possible.
Which
But
they're not going
yeah,
to do most likely. They're kind of in no man's land now.
yeah,
Where,
they're in a terrible spot for that right now.
yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to pull the plug right now because you're in that spot, but that's the only way to head that direction. Because they have talented players. They have players that would fit. I mean, Beasley would be great on a contender coming off the bench. Clarkson, I know people are interested in. I don't know if they trade Markkanen or Olynyk would probably fit on a team as well.
Guy's a good coach too. Hardy's a good coach.
Right. And then Zion's been playing out of his mind lately. So yeah, I mean, I would if I'm taking this, I'm taking the Pelicans, but I have to have my Jazz in that parlay.
Yeah, this matchup's always funny to me because it always makes me think of basketball. The Jazz moved from New Orleans
Yes.
to Utah where they don't allow music. I just think this is your points here are good. Like I'm trying to look at the Jazz, like who's going to be there next year. I don't expect Conley to be there.
Right.
Your pieces, I guess, that you want to keep and build around would be like Markkanen and Vanderbilt and
Yep.
and Sexton. And outside of that, everybody else is probably up
Fair
for
game.
grabs. And Zion is in incredible form right now, and they got a lot of skinny dudes on this team. So this is a game where I feel like that Zion can feast. Post up Markkanen, post up Olynyk, whoever is unlucky, and whoever draws the short straw and has to guard Zion. Wear a chest protector underneath your jersey tonight because you're going to be getting trucked. But I don't know. I guess Vanderbilt can give him some problems potentially, provide a little bit of a different look. But
Vanderbilt's not that big though. I mean, he's
a little
he's
skinny,
like 215 pounds.
Yeah, it's tough. They just don't match up well. I guess Kessler, if they want to bring in big Walker Kessler, but I don't know if his foot speed is enough to give him any trouble. And then if Kessler's on the floor, then they're definitely going to bring JV on the floor.
Right.
So, yeah, to me,
Paul Malone seems like he's in pretty good shape. I don't know if Malone could give him 15 minutes, but every time I look at him, he looks like he's still in solid shape.
I think so, man. I think if Stockton could probably play a point for a few minutes off the bench still. To me, I think the Pelicans are the side. The fact that it's such a small number just tells you that it's kind of stinky.
Just moved to 2, by the way, at FanDuel.
Yeah, 2 points. Like something's not right about this. Like I think that them just beating up on the Suns, like they're going to be feeling themselves. And then, like, here's a trip out to Utah. Like, all right, get up for it. Like, Utah's not going to quit, and they're going to just keep coming at you. Like, they're fierce. So, something tells me Utah's the side tonight. Like, so I'll stay away from it on the side, and I'll just probably I want to play Zion stuff, but again, 27.5 I think is his line tonight. That's a smidge high for me. I think McCollum can get 6 assists. I think his line is 5.5. I think he had 7 last time, and he's cleared 6 multiple times over the last 10 games. And I think that's a potential good look. Trey Murphy threes kind of makes sense for me. I don't know. Like a few props are interesting, but I don't necessarily love where the number's at. So this game might be a full-on pass for me. Like, I know that seems kind of crazy, but I'm hoping by the time this one is ready to tip off, that we've got a barn burner in the first game, or I mean the second game, and then I'll be glued to the Warriors and Bucks game because 9 o'clock. I mean that I guess that's the second half probably of this Warriors Bucks, and I'll be glued in on this one. I want to focus in. So
Chad is asking about CJ McCollum tonight.
CJ, I mean, like I said, I like his assists. I think he can get 6 assists tonight. What do you guys think?
McCollum
definitely.
assist. Yeah, that seems attainable.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his point line at right now, Eli?
19 and a half.
18 and a half.
So props like cashes anyway. I can pull up FanDuel in a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got it right here for DraftKings too. CJ's tough, man. Like I've been burned on him a lot this year on his points. So I'm kind of cool personally. Like it's sometimes we get burned by something where we feel like we had a nice edge. And CJ's had a lot of nights where he's not shot the ball well this year. And so I've been burned several times. What's that saying? I'm going to look at that props.
He's at 29, 18, 8, 7, 5, 15, 18.
See, 7, 5, like between those games. Like that's not the kind of guy I want to bet on.
Right.
There's been too many nights where I've had him in my slip and he shot 2 for 11, and I'm just like, nope, not doing it. But I do like the assists angle because I think that they've got some good knockdown shooters, and yeah, easy oops for Zion down low when he draws one of those favorable matchups.
Yeah, and Utah's going to give up their points. I mean, they gave up 115 to Denver, 118 to Minnesota, 123 to Golden State, 116 to the Blazers, 120 to the Pacers, 112 to the Clippers, 114 to the Jazz, 113 to the Suns. So I mean they're going to play fast and loose and just shoot the ball a ton, and they're going to give up points on the other end. So probably not a bad play. Not sure that's what I'm going to bet. I do like the Pelicans though as a side. Anything else before we move on to the final game?
I just looked up one thing because I wanted to double check myself. I was interested in looking at McCollum head to head against Conley, and he has matched up pretty well with him over the years. He's averaged 21 points, including it since he's moved to New Orleans. They faced the Jazz twice, and he had 24 and 28. So I don't have full lineups for that. I'm not sure if Brandon Ingram was in those games or not, and Zion was in those games or not. So I don't have the full picture, but I do know when they've faced off, he does have a little bit of a size advantage on Conley. So I think his little mid range and push shot that he does, he could be able to get those over Conley. And Clarkson's never been accused of being a good defender, so. No matter who he draws out there, he might have an advantage size-wise and skill-wise. So I could see it. If 20 points is not asking a ton, but like I said, consistency is something I like to look for when I'm targeting somebody. And his assists have been pretty consistent. And I like the 5.5 today.
All right, another one I haven't bet, but I'm probably going to. I like Boston here. They're laying 3.5 against the Lakers. I know it's second night of a back-to-back. Lakers have played better, but this is a good spot, I think, for the Clippers, except a good spot for the Celtics, despite the fact they lost last night and they're playing back-to-back, just because they lost to the Warriors. They lost to the Clippers. Really good elite teams don't usually lose 3 in a row, and the Celtics team has been dominant before, so I could see them bouncing back against a Laker team that they're much better than just man for man here. So I like the Celtics. Haven't bet it yet. I probably will. Nick, you want to start us off here? Any thoughts, Celtics and the Lakers?
Yeah, I really like Anthony Davis in this spot tonight. I know a lot of people are on him tonight, but no Horford, no Robert Williams. Not exactly sure how they're going to match up with Davis. We don't have Brian on here cursing any unders this week, so hopefully we're safe in that aspect. But I laddered his rebounds 13, 14, and 16. This is another game where we could have a potential 40-40, Davis and Tatum, or if you want to go crazy, 40 points, Davis, and 16 rebounds, you could probably get some nice odds on that. Or another, if you want to look at something else crazy, I think the Celtics could even win. Davis scoring 40 and get some correlation with the Celtics to win is probably a huge odds as well. But this is gonna be a fun game to watch too. I think, like you said, Celtics on a back-to-back. Lakers need to win every game now. So I did have a question for you though that I heard on the radio. I wanted to hear both of you guys. With Davis constantly being hurt, if you had to pick someone in the NBA who you're the most scared of when they go down, who is it? Is it Ja? Is it Embiid? Is it Anthony Davis? Or do you have somebody else?
Well, it's not Embiid because he's faking most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's so
he
dramatic.
loves the ground.
Like,
yeah, he does. I think this would be tied to who do I have futures bets on, because I've had the Sixers in past years.
Yeah.
So when Embiid goes down, I'm a little scared. If I'm neutral, look, I'm not rooting for anyone to get hurt, but if Ja goes down, I don't get nervous because I don't have any financial attachment to it. So Matkafee, you can take this while I think about it.
Let's say it this way: if you are the owner of the team, who are you the most?
It's Davis. To me, it's Davis. Davis.
I'm least concerned about Embiid and LeBron because they're just milking it.
Yeah.
But Ja, because when he hits, he doesn't know how to fall. He hits like flat from about 7 feet in the air. He always lands right on his tailbone.
He's like Derrick Rose, kind of.
Yeah, playing with reckless abandon. And I think that's what everybody, I think, is afraid of, is him having a real bad fall and maybe hurting his hip or something. And like we lose some of that explosiveness. Ja's a good candidate. Trying to look, just kind of
Kawhi hasn't fallen that much, but hey, anytime Kawhi bruises anything, you're holding your breath that it's going to be another 6 weeks before you see him. So Kawhi's definitely in that mix.
Kawhi, and I think Davis is a good one too. Like, obviously, because he seems so susceptible to getting hurt. I mean, Zion, I want to see Zion have a long, prosperous career. I don't want to see him get hurt. So that's another good one. If I'm an owner, it's Zion for sure, because he's so Zion or Ja, they're so young and they have such a bright future ahead of them. As an owner, that would, I'd be heart and mouth every time. But yeah, looking around the league, I'm just kind of scanning my head right now. I don't really see anybody that's like going to give me too much, trouble here, because I'm like, I think everybody else. They pretty much take the contact as it comes, and they're not like flopping around or making it too dramatic. One other good one would be Ball. I think he's another one in that Ja category where he's the one of Ja and Zion, future star of the league, like very exciting player. Seems like he's having trouble with his ankles already this early in his career, which isn't good for a point guard to have ankle issues. So.
That's a terrible team, by the way.
That'd be my top 3.
Real quick, Anthony Davis is now a part of a FanDuel boost, if you believe in the boost curse. And chat is saying he's now listed as probable for Tuesday's game with low back tightness. I haven't double checked that yet. But.
Here's a prop that I wish I could bet every night: LeBron and Davis game time decision.
Yeah,
it's every night.
Yeah, it is.
It's every night.
It is.
There's. The boost thing, I mean, okay, so the boost, Messi's goal today cashed. But last night they had Stevenson and Murray in the boost, and they both get hurt in the first quarter. So, there's validity to both sides of it. Like, obviously, they're going to put in high-profile players that people want to bet on. And so it's very high-profile when the boost crash and burn. So, there's a little bit of confirmation bias on both sides. To me, I look at it as a boost most of the time as promotion dollars. The book is just hiding promotional dollars in these boosts. But yeah, I mean, when there's something that's boosted that's long odds, like I don't care what the EV is on it. Sometimes I'll just pass. Like if it's plus 150 or plus 200, that's playable. Even with the ones that are like minus 250 boosted to even money, those I think are good. The ones you got to watch out for are the ones that are longer shots where like, hey, this is boosted to 12-1, or this is boosted to 15-1 or 20-1. Because books, they, no matter how much is in their promotion handle, even if they limit everybody to $50, they are not going to give you, they're not going to take on $30 million in liability and only have $5 million in handle. It's just not no book's going to do that. So it's those even money ones I think have good ones. And as long as you got somebody smart that's, devigging them against like the other odds, I think they're playable. But yeah, boosts are notoriously they don't hit as often as your brain thinks they should. We'll say that. That makes it like
that's you couldn't have said it any better, because every time you look at one, you're like, oh, that's easy gonna hit every time.
Yep.
Speaking of boosts, there is a one for the Bucks game. Giannis 30 points, Klay Thompson 15, and Curry 3 threes. You look at that instantly and you're thinking,
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I do.
What's it boosted from and to?
It was plus 110. Now it's plus 160.
See, that's perfect range. I think that's makes a lot of sense.
Nice little bankroll builder.
Yeah, and I mean, just throw that in there. How often are you going to get it? Like, I think that makes sense. The ones I tend to watch out for are UFC boosts and things like that, because they're usually on method of victory. Like this so-and-so to get a knockout, or so-and-so to get a, something like that. And it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go bet this guy to win by a decision because like they know something. But yeah, I just, here's the good thing. And the real secret of it is like, if you're willing to just not get greedy and arb, most of the time there's some free money to be had on these boosts by going to another book and just playing the no or playing the other angle on it. And yeah, it's, if your max is $50 and hey, I was going to win 50 if it wins, or I was going to win 100 if it wins, maybe you just secure 10 or $20 by betting the opposite side on something else. Like, I know that's boring to talk about, but like that's a pretty easy way to just have some steady money coming in, betting the opposite sides of these things, because yeah, you can get yourself in no lose situations by doing that, which is honestly, some people I know with pretty big bankrolls, that's all they do is just arb constantly. Like, they don't, what side? I don't care. Like, I'm making money on every game regardless if I can. So, yeah, I guess it works out to playing like minus, 700-800s pre-flop, in the long term. But I don't know. What do you think, Will?
No, I think you put it well. They're good in certain doses just to build your bankroll, but like you said, the longer ones can be dangerous. But I think we did a good job covering the NBA. Before we get out of here, anything catch your eye for NFL? Matt, you could start just in terms of this next week. Futures, make the playoffs. Anything you bet so far for this upcoming week?
This next slate.
Oh, we should mention our Dolphins to win the division bet. We should pour one out here.
We want to cash it out. We could cash it out now, and we could take a.
I want to buy a hot dog. So do I have enough to buy a hot dog out of it?
Yeah. Well, I think we could.
It's like a 10% loss right now, or something like that.
No, I think we were.
No, we're dead.
We were in for like, if your unit's $100 or whatever, I think we were in for 2.5 each. I think we can each make about 1.1, or not make. We can get about 1.1 back.
We put out that far after this week.
Yeah,
I can get $100 back.
We can each take $100 back out of our thing. So if you're interested,
how quickly can you hit the button?
All right, I'm gonna hit the button.
I mean, they're not winning the division.
No, I know. Josh Allen.
And then we're gonna have Tua in bad weather. I mean, I'd be very concerned from Miami. Not, I said this today. Exposed is a strong word, but I don't know that it's the wrong word, because, man, it just seems like all these teams are dropping their linebackers a little deeper. They're taking away the middle of the field in the numbers, and they're just saying, you know what, beat us on the outside of the numbers and ban Tua. That's in good weather against really. I know the Niners are good defense, but the Chargers don't have good defense.
Yep, I can cash out right now for 203.57. So we would lock in a 1.5 loss, but not take the whole 2.5 unit loss.
Cash App or Venmo are perfectly fine.
All right, I'm done. I'll cash it out. I'll tap.
Thanks a lot, Miami. Thanks for nothing. They're not. I mean, they're too bad. Let's think this out. Let's talk this out. If anyone tailed this with us, they're not winning the division, right? This just cut your losses, right? I mean, what's the path here? I guess if they win, they have the tiebreaker, but you could just reinvest it. If you really feel strongly, you could reinvest and just take them on the money line this week, and you're still trailing them. I guess the Bills still have Cincinnati, but man, I don't see a path here for Miami.
Yeah, they needed to win one of these two games,
Exactly.
and especially they needed to win the Chargers one because it's a AFC game too.
Yep.
So I don't think that matters for the division, but I think it matters for like overall seed in the conference. But maybe I'm wrong on that. I know like tiebreakers get kind of crazy.
No, it's a conference for wild cards. It's a conference thing.
Okay, yeah. So
division is head to head, and then it goes division record. Okay. Maybe if it's a third tiebreaker, it's conference, but it usually doesn't get to that.
Yeah, I don't really see the path forward for them. And like you said, like right now, Tua's stock right now is as low as it was like last year. So right now, I guess is the buy low spot if you think a bounce back is coming. But he's shown me nothing to give me any sort of confidence. Like I feel like most anybody on any NFL roster could have had the game he had this, the last 2 weeks.
And their 14 points came because Hill picked up a fumble in what's the craziest Madden type play of all time. And then he throws a fade to Hill, and the defender gets his feet tangled, trips. Hill catches it and runs it in. Now Hill's banged up. So it's bad for Miami. I'm not even sure they make the playoffs. I think they're like plus 230 to miss the playoffs. I'll probably end up betting a little bit on that. I just think, like I said, I think Tua's been exposed a little bit. And if you're Miami, you're going to give this guy a lot of years, a lot of money. You probably are, just because what are your other options? And he's got good raw numbers, but man, that would terrify the hell out of me to give him, 5-6 years, $200 million. That would really scare me.
Yeah. I think offensive rookie of the year is open now for Garrett Wilson.
Yep. 40-1 a few weeks ago too.
Yeah, it's down to plus 200, but I think Walker's missing this week too. I think this game. So his production, he had an amazing, 5-6 week run there where he put up a fantastic season's worth of stats almost, but missing some games here down the at the end, and really he missed. If you're looking at it, he didn't play the first month. So how are they going to give it to the guy who had a nice, October and a couple weeks in November? Probably not. So
what's Purdy, just for the hell of it? Purdy can't steal it, right?
Purdy, not listed. Oh no, he is listed. Excuse me. I looked over him. He's 35-1 right now. But again, that's the same thing. He's got 5 weeks. He can't get it. So
probably not.
Pickett got hurt, which hurts.
Pickett's done.
Pickett's probably done. So I think it's Dameon Pierce.
I don't think Pierce can win on a 1 or 2 win team as a running back, and he's hurt this week. I don't think he's playing this week.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Did we dismiss Purdy? Are we sure? If he puts up 5 really good games, goes 5-0, looks like he did the other day, are we 100% sure he's not going to win it?
Man, I think it would be really hard for him to overtake.
I'd want more than 35-1.
I think which one of these receivers? So Wilson or Olave down in New Orleans, and then Christian Watson. Who knows? Maybe
he scores 2 touchdowns every week.
Yeah, if he keeps going crazy, and the Packers though, again, where we try, are they done? Who knows? They lose.
Pacheco doesn't have enough stats for KC. It's a weird class.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of contributing guys. There's a bunch of guys you can make a case for, but there's not that one standout guy.
Really not. That's why I loved Pickett when I grabbed him too. I was and this was before Kenneth Walker blew up. I was like, God, there's nobody going to run away with this thing.
Right.
And Wilson, even Wilson, the guy, the leader in the clubhouse, is it going to be Mike White, who he probably has no ribs left at this point?
No.
It's just like a bowl of Jello, in the midsection right now. And Flacco comes in. He had great rapport with Flacco. Flacco diced the Browns up with Wilson. So if it's Flacco, I think that thing they can keep things rolling a little bit, but. Do they go back to your boy Zach Wilson?
No.
You don't think?
If Flacco got hurt and White couldn't play, it sounds like White can play this week, but I don't think Flacco's in the conversation. I don't think White's in the conversation. Yeah. Wilson's in the conversation.
Mike White was the fighter that had taken the liver kick and he's already done. And they just kept rolling him out there. I'm like, what are they doing? This guy's going to get seriously hurt. But I guess that's football.
He covered though.
Yeah. Hey, great teams.
They played for the cover too. It was like 4th and 1 from like the 4. And like, if you want any chance of winning the game, you need the touchdown. I understand you need the touchdown, the 2, the field goal, the onside kick. But like, if you're really trying to win, you should go for the touchdown. But they're like, we're gonna take our field goal, and that's what got them the cover. So interesting.
Yeah.
I agree. Wilson probably wins. And look, everyone loved the Jets rookie class when they drafted him. And hey, Gardner's the favorite for defensive rookie of the year. Wilson's the favorite for offensive rookie year. It's a really good roster. And hey, with New England winning now, New England owns the tiebreaker against the Jets. They beat them twice, so Jets are no lock to get in. That's a big game against Detroit this week. So, man, it's going to be a fun last month of the season. We'll see what happens.
One more little quick question for you guys on this. So we were talking in our group chat a little bit about it. And one of our cappers threw out a little ticket on Jared Goff to be the comeback player of the year. Kind of like, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that as much, but it was in reaction to, and just your thoughts on that, Jared Goff potentially, because he's come out of nowhere now. He's like a top 5 candidate. But Dan Campbell, he's now the second favorite to win Coach of the Year here. I don't know. I mean, he's past the New York guys. He's past O'Connell in Minnesota.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
it's going to be Sirianni. Sirianni's going to go at least 15-2. If Sirianni goes 15-2, he's going to win the award. So,
do you win it with the MVP on your team?
Yes. You're going to at 15-2. You're going to win the award. He might go 16-1. It's just going to be hard not to give him the award.
That's what I was saying all year, but you talked me out of it a lot with your New York angles and stuff.
I know. I was rooting for Dable, and look, at the time, Dable was the star of the Giants. I mean, they got to 7-2. They just needed to get to 10 wins. I actually wouldn't count Dable out if they're able to win a couple of games. It's just, I've always said, in order for anyone else to win, Sirianni probably has to get to like 3 losses. That'll open it up for somebody else. But at 15-2, 16-1, people are just gonna, by memory, or by rote, sort of pencil in Sirianni, which can't argue with.
Yeah, I mean, can the Lions could literally go 4-0 here.
They could.
I mean, 10-7.
Not easy games though. Jets is an easy game. Carolina's still not an easy game at Green Bay, so they'll probably lose.
I mean, we got Mike White with no ribs left.
And outdoors though is not great. That's a good teaser leg. If it's still 1.5, it's a good teaser leg, but I don't know.
I do have a question for you guys about another division. So I have a ticket I put in before the season. It's plus 5,600. I have the Chiefs to win the division, the Eagles to win the division, the Vikings to win the division, and the final leg is the Bengals to win the division.
Oh, you're in good shape.
Do I just ride the Bengals, or do I do anything with the Ravens?
I mean,
take the Ravens. You could play it game by game, like take the Ravens plus the points on Saturday against the Browns, something like that. Just take little bets on the Ravens plus the points. You could take the Bucks plus the points against the Bengals and just do a bunch of mini hedges. Or you could you could just chop it in half.
Yeah.
That's that. I think it comes down to that last game of the season. They play each other straight up. So you could just put a monster bet on the Ravens
plus the points if you're getting you'll be getting points. Yeah, that's a good point.
Getting points, and you maybe win both bets.
Now you do have to play the Bills still if you're the Bengals, and even like Tampa. I can't call Tampa a tough game anymore, but I guess it's still Tampa.
Dude, they need to just run the 2-minute offense the entire game. That's the I don't know. I know that's probably not realistic, but just to be like, all right, offensive coordinator, you just sit on the sideline and get some Gatorade or whatever you need to do. Like Tom Brady is running the 2-minute offense for the entire game. Because everything, I mean, that's the only time the Bucs look viable as an offense, is this last 2 minutes. So why on earth are they huddling up and doing anything else? I guess it's because the Bucs are going to somehow backdoor this division.
Are they though?
Well, yeah, that's a whole.
I got some Panthers at like 20-1 that I've ripped that ticket up, pieced it together about 3 different times. But let me read off the Bengals schedule: at Tampa, at New England, home for the Bills, and then home for the Ravens. So look, the Bengals
are playing great. Who are the Ravens? Other 3
the Ravens. I know they play the Steelers again. They're at the Browns this week on Saturday.
Yep.
So you're missing one.
Browns are getting. I guess the Ravens might be on their 3rd-string quarterback as well.
Right, which is important. Yeah. Ravens at the Browns, home for the Falcons, home for the Steelers, at the Bengals.
Man, yeah,
I'd be tempted to just chop it in half, or at least take
really need the
part of it.
Ravens to lose this next week. Bad.
Just take them plus the points this week for a little bit.
True.
And just sort of work yourself into a middle, because hey, the Ravens could, you could win your bet. The Ravens lose by 2 or 3. I don't know what the line is top of my head, but you can middle. I mean, you can middle this a bunch of different ways too. That's a fun ticket to have.
I think you wait. I would wait, because with Lamar's health being a question mark, the Ravens legitimately they could just run out of gas here. And then, maybe something happens where you're like, you get to this point where, Bengals have it in pocket on this last thing. You might not even need to bet anything on the last game of the season. So I would wait. But then if it does come down to that last one, you'll be also catching points, and you can win 2 bets.
Depends how much you have on it too. You could tease the Ravens and the Bucks this week, so at least you're even. You're not losing any ground, or you're winning your teaser, so you have even a bigger window to middle it.
Right.
2.5 for the Ravens.
2.5 for the Ravens. I did see some 3, so we're looking at 2.5. You could tease the Ravens with something, with the Bucks with something else, and at least take your money.
What do you think about that Patriot? Because they're going to play at the Patriots on Christmas Eve. Like,
they're much better than the Patriots, but
there's probably a snow game. Yeah, and probably. I mean, who knows? Like,
they'll be favored. Bengals will be favored by a field goal, at least, you would think.
Yeah, probably
3 or 4. Bengals are good. I mean, Bengals are one of the few teams that are really good on offense. They're good on defense. I think they're a top 5 team. They're really good.
I think they probably would beat New England because, I mean, Mac just doesn't have enough weapons, and that Bengals defense is pretty. It's honestly, it's underrated. Like,
it's a good defense. Yeah, even last year was underrated.
Yeah.
Right. The narrative was, wow, Burrow, dragged this team to the Super Bowl. It was like, if you watch the games, a lot of it was the defense creating turnovers, and the kicker just made everything in sight. So, I mean, Burrow was decent, but I mean, he wasn't really like the driving force, I would say.
So say they go 2-2, that probably wins them the division, right? I mean, that's
Cincy or Baltimore.
Cincy, like, because if assuming the victory over the Ravens, like, you get the Ravens, you get the Buccaneers, and then I see
so hard. There's too many coin flips in there to be definitive about it, though.
Right. I would say 2-2 at worst, but you might be 3-1.
Yes.
Like, for the big. I think you sit. I think I like you. I like that ticket a lot, man.
Yeah, if I were in your position, I'd probably just tease my 2, like tease the Bengals opponent and tease the Ravens, and have something. And if you lost that teaser, a game up, and then you can just kind of chill next week. But
right.
Fun ticket to have, man. But this is a good show, guys. Anything else before we get out of here?
Just trying to think
While Matt's thinking, we are back tomorrow at noon for propping up NHL picks. We're back on this show 6 o'clock Thursday. We got Ryan and Brian Thursday at 11:30, 10:30, something like that. Friday we have 2 shows. We got Matkafee on Box to Box at 11, right, Matt? I think.
Yes.
And then we've got propping up Daily Fantasy Show Friday evening this week at 7. Richie One Up and myself are going live UFC show Saturday morning at 9. And you guys, I think we don't know yet when we're doing First and Gold, but that's the schedule for the rest of the week.
All right. Well, sounds good, guys.
Yeah.
Props.cash, Pickett Sports, Gold Boys, Nick, Matt, appreciate you guys. Good luck with all your plays. Thank you guys for listening.
See you guys.